Okay, it started.
All right.
And
Let's start the live stream too.
for the live stream, I think I need to open that one. Okay, someone is here, by the way. We have Danny here. But live stream doesn't start because I don't have the access of that account.
Okay, so all right. Just check it in the background if you can access it.
I'm trying to right now. No, hello at upcoach.com doesn't work. Okay.
All right. Okay, so let's continue with recording. The worst case scenario, we share the recording, so that's okay.
Okay, and yeah, Danny here.
All right. So
I think you
this
can
is
share your
our...
screen.
Sorry?
I think you can share screen now, by the way, if you need.
I will in a minute.
Mhm.
So this is our third building blocks call. I'm super excited about this. And it's already, we already left 2 calls behind, 2 webinars behind. So let me open the agenda and what we are going to talk about. Hey, Danny, welcome. So let's see, okay. All right. So this time we have an agenda. So every call, every webinar, we are getting better at this, I hope. So first I want to talk about why we are doing these calls. Hey, Ed. And then I will mention what we've shipped so far, and then the most exciting part of the call, picking an idea, new idea, and then brainstorming on the features of that idea. So first, why we are doing this. So last week, we had on our forum, we had Leah posted some concerns of her regarding how much resources we are dedicating to building these custom apps and resource blocks, because there are already some highly requested features and improvements on the platform. So if you're curious about that, please go ahead and check our forum. Where was it? It was under questions. Or I think it was here somewhere. It was under where was it?
It's under the announcements.
It's under the
and
announcement.
24th
Yes,
of April.
Leah, yes. Okay, this is the post. Maybe Brock, we can share a link to this post on the digest. I think we already did.
We already did this week.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, this is our if I summarize it, it's our core product team is fully focused on the core product, and we already have a roadmap. They are working on improvements. We just recently pushed the new program UI, which you can also see here already in production, and lots of other improvements too, the search and many others coming too. So the core product team is fully focused on the core product, but David and me, basically, this is kind of a lab experiment for us, because we see in the future, we see upcoach as a central coaching platform where every need of every coach can be satisfied on this platform. Of course, there are some common needs and requirements for all coaches, but also every coach is unique in some way, right? So it's impossible for a single product to satisfy all those unique requirements for each coach. So what we have is basically we are building upcoach as an extendable platform where you can have apps, custom apps, and custom blocks developed for it. So if you have a very unique coaching practice, some methods, and etc., you can have a tool developed for it on the upcoach platform where your all data, your all clients' data already hosted. So that's where we are going. But again, this is kind of a lab experiment me and David we are working on the site. So no core product team resources or any other resources spent on this. And one other side benefit of working on these things is that we get to also talk more and more with our users, which I really love, and all these brainstorming sessions and etc. But also, we started doing this in the public, and we loved it so far, and we are trying to spread this to the whole team, to all of our processes. So we started doing a monthly open product call also, where the core product team is joining this webinar and accepting questions from our users. So I believe it's going to spread a lot more soon. So it's a nice side benefit. So with that said, since our last building blocks webinar, what we shipped. We shipped two things. The first thing is an improvement to the Wheel of Life block we shipped earlier. We shipped Save as PDF feature. So you can basically download your Wheel of Lives as a PDF file. So that's an improvement. And we are always, collecting feedback from the forum. And so don't hesitate to share your feedback on the forum under the building block sections or feature request sections. So we are always reading and listening. So that's shipped. And today we also shipped a Lifeline application, which we brainstormed on 2 weeks ago on the building blocks call. So it is shipped. I already shared a forum post about this where you can see on the building blocks call. Let's use our search functionality here, which is also new, by the way. Yeah, Lifeline app. On this post, you can watch the introduction video, and also you can grab the installation link and install it and see how it works. I'm pretty excited about this because this is the second application, and we managed to ship 2 applications in 4 weeks. An application for each 2 weeks. So it's started really well, and our aim is to push a new application every 2 weeks. So let's see how it will go. All right. Yeah, so any questions so far? Let me see, there are some text messages on chat. Okay. Hey, Kim, welcome. And hey, Danny, yeah, again. So picking the new app idea, what are we going to build in the next 2 weeks? So we already collected some ideas from the forum with many comments. And by the way, all these ideas are shared under our learn.upcoach.com community under the building blocks category. If you have any ideas, please post it here. Let's discuss and talk about them. So far, we gathered these ideas. So I will go over each one of them and we'll see where it takes us. And please don't hesitate to just join the discussion, share your ideas, ask questions. The first idea is in not taking journaling or gratitude journal application. This I am very excited about. I'd love to have something like this on upcoach. Basically, you install this application, you drag and drop this new block onto your program, and your clients can take notes or publish journal entries, or some maybe gratitude journal or joy list, or those kind of custom templated journal entries they can submit to it, and you can read them there, and they can share their journals between each other. It's like a micro blogging application built into your program directly. I'm really excited about this idea, but there is one big question which I can't find an answer to, which is this can also be done in the forum, right? Your clients, you can create a category inside the forum, like journaling, gratitude or something, and you can ask your clients to publish posts under those categories. Of course, it will not look like a blogging or journaling application. It will look like a forum, but yeah, still can't answer this myself. One question from Ed: how can I best support this call? Do you want new ideas or feedback? Just join the discussion. That would be like, if you have new ideas that you want to talk about as a custom app or blog, let's talk about those things, or just join the discussion what we are talking about. Yes, not taking, but with the feedback feed on the right. Feedback feed. That's interesting. See the product called not joy for how this. I just checked that. Yes, like there is a discussion on the right side. You can highlight a specific. I just watched that video, by the way. Thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. Actually, let's look at it together, because I think it's a great idea to sit not joy. Let's try this. No. Okay. And journaling. My clients write out of visions, statements. So this way of taking notes and getting feedback is great. True. Where was it? I just want to show the UI of that application. It's actually good. An option feature, chart log, journal. Was it this one? Nope.
Or can you search by name?
Yeah,
you could just search on my name, Ed Farragon, and see what shows up.
With
two R's. Yeah.
No, this is it has to be in the post details itself. Despite don't report your tagging nerd out with
you can move on, and I'll go record another one real quick.
Yeah. But anyways, so the basic idea is that you have a basic text editor on the left, and you can highlight a few words, and then you can comment on those highlighted parts. And as I mentioned, it's also, yeah, you can type your mission statements, journaling, everything. It's actually really great. But Ed, don't you think that this can also be done with the forum? Maybe forum has forum is lacking some features, but if we polish forum in such a way that it also satisfies this use case?
Yeah, I haven't explored the forum enough, but I can tell you that when a client feels like what they're writing is only seen between me and them and not anybody else, they're more open to sharing, like the portal is like to me, I think of it, and I read a really good article on this about a year ago, and it said that the successful platforms in the future will be destination points, which means when that person goes there, they actually want to settle in, where am I at? How have I been doing? And what have I done, in this case, with all my coaching with Ed? What are the results I'm getting? And so what I pictured was a portal where, notes, like I have one guy, and I think the reason he does it is because he has one click on his phone. He loves NoteJoy because whenever we're coaching, he just opens it up and puts his notes right in there as we're coaching. And I'm like, wow, I would love him to do that with upcoach, but he's just not, it's just not familiar with how to do that very easily. And NoteJoy for some reason seems to like make it, just one click, you're in it, and on their app that they use. So that's one component. The other plugin that I hope would eventually happen is a dashboard that if somebody puts down, like they agree to some homework or, doing homework, and they finish it and they click finished, it shows up on the dashboard that says, wow, look at this. I've had, 5 homeworks. I've completed 3 of them, or in the last month, or over the lifetime, the dashboard shows, progress basically, and it's graphical. It looks beautiful. And they're like, wow, this is like really helping me to shape my life in a direction.
Yes,
right?
yes. For especially for homeworks, worksheets, and etc. This is where we want to go exactly with smart documents. So that's I think smart documents is going to rock that area really well soon, with all the upcoming improvements and etc. But and also, Danny, you say that you like to have a client log to have direct conversations with your client and be able to put a journal block for them to see.
Mert, I found the link, I think. Just can you please check that?
Yeah, I just also opened NoteJoy on the tab too. Yeah, okay. So I'm using the private browsing thing, so it's
okay. You can search with that.
No, just a second. Okay.
Name. Go to the bottom. Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. So what was I saying? Currently, I have a client log and everything goes to one place. This is really good, but sometimes the log gets really long because everything is in there. So that's the dilemma, right? Like we want to have everything in one place, but once it's in one place, it becomes really hard to categorize and make sense out of all that data in one place. Yeah, but I'm lost a little bit on the part where you have a client log, but also you want to have direct conversations with your client.
So right now, the client log is the private place. Once the client logs in, they can go to their client log. That's where we communicate when we're not on a call. So it's great for coaching in between. They can ask questions. That's where they would submit documents and things like that for me to review. And we also tell them to use it as a journal. So their client log is always visible to the coach, and the coach can make notes in the client log and have them not available to the client. So it does make it nice because everything's in one place. So I can do private logs, notes to the client. I can
Yeah.
let them be visible to the client or not, but I also have them journal in there. So again, the problem with adding it as a journal makes it super, super long. So if there was a journaling block, so if there was a log area where we could have this conversation, like I think Ed said, it's private, it's between you and the client, but
Yep.
also have the journal blocks, and you can name that block, like name that tune, just kidding. But you can name that block and then move it over there, and they can use that as a source of journaling.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
I can.
client log to do coaching in between, and it's private between you and the client, is so valuable. I cannot even tell you.
Yeah. But what do you mean by client log, to make sure that we are on the same, I understand you correctly. It's basically not what we have on as the CRM profile page we have right now, but it's basically everything that your client did, visible to you as a coach, and also at the same time visible to the client themselves, right?
Well, it's a conversation area, so it has a text block.
Okay.
Okay. So you're
Where
actually
you can comment on parts of it, basically.
like,
Yeah.
they can submit questions and bullet points, and then I can go back in and address the bullet points. So we do a log entry back and forth. Log entry, log entry, log entry.
Well, yeah, like as you can see, this not taking journal. Yeah, this is exactly the video that I watched. Yes.
So I can highlight here.
Yeah. Yeah, highlighting, commenting. Yeah. This is interesting. This also seems simple. All right, let's move on to other ideas, and let's get back to it in a few minutes. Another block idea from the forum was chart metrics KPIs, where you enter some metrics for your clients, or they enter themselves, and then we display some charts based on these metrics. For example, weight, or number of sales calls, or it can be anything, number of push-ups, or anything basically. And over time, you can see a chart over time and compare to previous date periods, maybe previous week, previous month, something like that. So this is one idea. And then OKR in itself is like, this is asked many times, but OKR is in itself like very big topic, I believe. Not sure about it completely. And also I'm not sure if we will be able to solve this in 2 weeks. It's a little bit bigger scope. And then we have 2 new chart type requests: echo map and genogram. I think it's spelled like this. Genogram sounded a little bit complex to me, not that from the implementation side, not the concept. But echo map is pretty simple. We can also do this. And then the wiki documentation topic. This is also, I'm very excited from the nerdy perspective. I would love to have some documentation repository or knowledge base inside upcoach programs, coaching programs, so you can provide some frequently asked questions and maybe a wiki. But again, this requirement or this need can be satisfied with forums also too. Again, we have the search, and so not sure about it. And then a forms block. Basically, you create some basic forms, you publish them on this blog, and then your clients submit their entries and you get notified about it. This is another idea. And then group check-in block. This is interesting. It's like habit tracker. But by the way, all these ideas are on the forum. They have their posts published on the forum. If you are curious or have ideas and feedback, please go in there, like them, comment on them, so we can basically measure the interest on these blocks. So group check-in is basically, it's like habit tracker, but instead of habits, you have people, and people are just basically checking, answering a question every day, or just checking in, like I'm here, I'm doing the work, or something like that. And everybody sees each other's check-in. So it's group accountability in action, basically.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I was just thinking as you were describing it, what you could add to that would be, I do this with people in my masterminds now, for the people that kind of need a little push every day. I call it a jump start, and they check in, but they also tell me the biggest thing they're going to get done today to move their business forward or something like that. So, I mean, it could fit someplace else in the system, but that is one place it could also fit.
Yeah, it's actually, interesting, because, for example, I'm your client. I see Mert as a line on that check-in chart or grid, and I click, hey, I'm here, and then a pop-up appears. I also type some text or give an update on what I will be working on today, or how is it going, or what I'm struggling with, or what I'm doing great. And then once I submit that, there is a big check mark there next to my name for that day, and maybe an indicator that there is also a note attached to it, so everyone can see it and maybe react to it, like congratulate me, or, provide their support or something like that. This is interesting. And also, again, just to remind you, our goal is to publish an app every 2 weeks. So while talking about these things, I'm also thinking about, like, if it is achievable, deliverable in 2 weeks or not. Can we scope it down? So definitely OKR is not something, let's say, I'm not sure that we can deliver it in 2 weeks, but wiki documentation, note taking, journaling, these are like a little bit vague ideas. They need to be discovered a little bit more. So please don't hesitate to continue the discussion over on the forum. We need more input on these ideas, but what's remaining is charts, metrics, block, echo map, genogram, and group check-in. So what do you think? Tell me. If no one speaks, I will decide myself.
In terms of which one would be kind of
let's think. So of course there are some technical details that I also take into account while deciding on these things, but I can say that group check-in, yes, chart metrics, yes, and I think these 3 ideas, these are the top 3s on my mind.
Mert, why you didn't count for a form and as a part of that? Because of the completion in 2 weeks?
Yes, well, because what kind of a form is going to be enough? Are we going to have step-by-step wizard kind of forums, or just simple fields? And once the form is submitted, are we going to keep previous entries? How are we going to notify coaches? Where are we going to collect all these data and lots of?
I'm satisfied that it's not going to finish in 2 weeks. Yeah, that's good. That's clear now.
Yeah, if we scope it down, of course we can finish it in 2 weeks, but then that scope will be enough? I'm not sure. So I have not looked at forum, but something Ed sent a message, chat message, and I know Michael's is an emotion tracker. That's interesting. The way I picture it is they click on any given moment in time, emotional icon, then a visual back to them. Not taking, I can use every day right now. Logs is critical for me now. Yeah, note taking and logs. Yes.
One question I had in the habit tracker now, and maybe I just haven't found it, but for example, if we're in a mastermind and the 5 of us, we all say, oh, here's what I'll have done next week, and I can just mark it done. But is there anything in habit tracker already where I can see that, yeah, for every 10 things Kim commits to, he only does 2 or 3? Is that already?
Yeah,
Can you do
actually,
a little report on it?
in the habit tracker, you can also create metric habits. Track metric habits. Basically, when you create a habit, basically it asks you, is this a metric habit or just a regular metric? So if you say that that's a metric habit, then it asks you what kind of unit you're tracking. All right, and then you can track your weight and
Gotcha.
anything. And also, if you click on the habit itself, habit title, it will show a pop-up displaying you like, hey, how many times you checked in, or if it's a metric habit, it shows you a simple line chart if it's going well or not.
Okay, so that's fine. And maybe the feature that I'm talking about could be in habit tracker, or maybe that's another future app. But to just give a bit of a background, like, so at the end of our masterminds, we always say, hey, you know, what are you going to basically do next week? And what I found is about half of them get it done every time, tick, tick, tick. And the other half really don't. Oh, I made progress on it and whatever. And they don't take it as seriously. So to me, I think it'd be really powerful in the group to say, hey, have you noticed Denny, you know, she does 100% of what she says. And Kim, you know, you're always saying, hey, I'm going to post my new, you know, my new thing on my website, or I'm going to get my coaching pricing done. And then again, we get to the next week, and then Ed says, well, I worked on it, but I'm not sure. And then then Ed sets a new goal for next week. And as the facilitator, I always want to go, no, like, do you realize that you're not, you know, either taking on too much for the week, or you're not taking enough for the week? And so I just think it'd be really powerful. Not only are you in a mastermind and there's built-in accountability to that, but in a nice way, we're watching you, Ed. Like you're not moving ahead like Denny is, because you're not taking this seriously. But again, now that I've sort of described it with a little more detail, can I already do that in Habit Tracker, or is that a different app or a different feature or a different?
Well, yeah, there are many ways to do that. The first thing that comes to my mind is that this check-in, group check-in block idea might be a good.
So it might be part of that. Okay.
Yeah, but without it, we can also do it with the habits block itself or the forum block. You know, with the habits block, you can create a habit for everyone, like check-in. And then if they don't check in, then you say you see that they're lacking or they are behind the progress. So they every week or every day they have to click on that check mark to make sure that they are working on it.
Okay.
But a dedicated group check-in block probably would be better in this case. Like you have, instead of a habits, you have a list of everyone visible at the same time on this block, and each time they check in, other people can, if they don't check in, they can maybe react to it.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So we'll see what the new app turns out to be, and I'll play around with the habit tracker with them. And one other question I had for you, in general, you said you want to, ideally you guys want to do an app every 2 weeks, and then how are you going to prioritize, like, upgrading the current one? Like, for example, I've been kind of a timeline freak for years, so I've probably looked at I can probably help you. I mean, if you need input into timeline software, I can tell you what they all do and what they don't do. But I finally found one that does almost everything I want to do, called Precedent. So when I look at, I mean, if you want, I can show you guys what it looks like for 15 seconds, and you get a real. Do you want to have a quick look at it?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay.
But so your question is like, how are we going to manage to polish what we have already as apps, and then also at the same time release new apps, you mean?
Right.
Right. Okay. So
are you guys seeing my screen or no?
yes, we can.
Oh, you seeing the timeline?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, it's not putting the green circle around my screen, so I didn't think you could see it. But anyway, for example, what's really cool about this is I can put any timeline across the top, whether it's decades or years. I can put different layers. So what I do with my clients is, here's the decades he's been alive. Here's today. Here's when he's projected to die. And then I've got his dreams, his goals, and what they were, and how they changed, and his peak thoughts, and his his wins and his losses, his general timeline. Here's where I went to school, depressing thoughts, negative thoughts, all the places he's worked and how long he's worked there, his hobbies, his friends. And then I use it to kind of do cognitive behavioral therapy stuff about just like, hey, you know what? Sounds like you're starting a new pattern. Didn't you do that when you got into partnership with Dave back in 1985? So I'm just showing this, you guys just started timeline, but what I'm saying is there's still stuff I want this thing to do. And then for each of these, by the way, I've got some kind of world events that happen just so they kind of have a reference point, where were you depends on how old you are, but where were you when Elvis Presley died, or younger people, Lady Di, or Princess Di, Queen Elizabeth, if you were just born. But with all of these, you can click them and you can create dependencies. And anyway, my whole point is not to say, hey, how come the one that you guys released 2 weeks isn't this good? It was more just to say, like how, like, are you trying to turn what you're doing into this, or is it more just a really simple timeline?
So, okay. This is the exact reason why we haven't called the app name it timeline. We called it Lifeline. So it's that block is basically like fully tailored for Lifeline exercises. Okay, we did not we have not meant to basically build a timeline application, which would be a bigger scope than what we deployed in 2 weeks, right? So it's basically a Lifeline exercise app where you have a start date and a basic timeline where you can have some events recorded and moments recorded on that timeline with some value attached, like highs and lows, and that's it. There are no start and end dates. There are no different lanes. But if I go back to your question, like how are we going to manage all the improvements of the existing apps and all the release at the same time, release new apps? That's why I emphasize all the time, we want to keep the scope small for these applications. And of course, we will like, so far I love this, and because it's a perfect opportunity for me to talk more with you guys, like I love this. But of course we are not planning to do this like forever. The main goal is basically build an ecosystem audience around this thing, show the capabilities of this platform to everyone. So not just us, but all the developers. Or if you're working with your own developers, if you have your own developers, you bring them to us and they build apps on this platform, basically. So this is just we trying to showcase what we have in terms of extendability, build apps, and while building them, smooth out the rough edges, maybe introduce some more extendability options, make the documentation better so other developers can also create and build on upcoach platform. So I think if we keep scope of the apps really small, we will be able to manage to keep them polished and also release new apps. But we'll see, like we will see how this goes. So far it's going great, but we are in the beginning. So yeah, we will see together. And basically, yes, Ed, like you will have a marketplace where you will be able to just search for a few keywords and you will just download those things, and then boom, you have all those unique tools on your programs available to you. Even like in the beginning, I mentioned even if you can find something on the marketplace, you will be able to hire developers, maybe upcoach licensed developers, official developers, you know, certified developers that can build anything you want on the upcoach platform where your existing clients are, basically. So I'm a little bit excited if it's, I don't know if you can get it, but so yeah, that's the idea. But we still couldn't decide on what we are going to work. So not taking in logs is coming up, right? Let me share my screen again. Where is it? Yes, here. This is bit, by the way, we can maybe, if they have some API or embedding options, we can embed this as a custom HTML block in the program. So let's see, actually, let's look at it right now. So embed your timeline. There we go. Yes, this can be embedded to your programs, basically. Maybe Brock, maybe let's take a note and let's write an article on this or post a tips on the community forum. So how to embed a precedent timeline into your programs.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be an immediate fix. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, basically we have an HTML block, which is like very, very like underestimated. You know, like you can do lots of crazy stuff with the HTML block. So anyways, okay, let's go back to our agenda. So not taking EcoMap chart metrics KPI, actually we can have this with the habits block. Kind of, I think it's good enough for now. And EcoMap and group check-in. And no one on this call is talking about EcoMap. We talked about not taking and group check-in feature. Sorry, Danny?
I just said, I don't even know what that is.
It's basically a coaching tool. It's a visual way to show how we are doing with your relationships. It's actually an interesting concept.
Okay.
But if you search on the Google Images, if you search for EcoMap, you'll see some really good examples.
I haven't done much with this, but I love the idea now that you're making it real for me. Like the idea, you know, the whole, everyone's got their own version of you are the people you hang around with the most, or
yeah,
to actually say, who do you hang out with? No wonder you're depressed all the time or whatever.
yeah, like, yes, exactly. Which relationships makes you stressful, you know, which relationships are positive, which relationships make you give or take more than you give.
Yeah, exactly. Who's pulling you up and who's sucking you down?
Exactly. It's a one time or like every month or every 3 months, or you do this exercise and see if things are improving or not. Just like actually Wheel of Life. But in a different way. Anyways, yeah, EcoMap, not taking and group checking. So
our
it's already
poll
been,
is almost ready, Mert. So like it's poll available, so everybody can vote multiple choices from there. Like I know that we are 5, but like this is a huge democracy, so like everybody can vote.
where is
whatever.
Paul?
It's just launched.
Interesting. All right, let's do it. I'll also vote.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay. All right.
So I can end that.
Which one?
And you can see the result right now.
I
was expecting that.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, this is the moment that our democracy ends. So
But
yes, okay.
if you could see, both of these have to do with communication and accountability.
True.
So that's just so key in coaching for coaching success. So I could see why those are like, okay, you know. Whereas the other things, whether it's a document that you can print out and put in Smart Docs or something like that, some of these things versus an interactive, which I think is great. I love interactive, and to have it, and the less documents I have to print out, the better. But for both of those to be equally important, like I said, it's communication and accountability. So those are always.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if the results of this quiz will be available in the recording.
Most probably it will. Like we can say that, okay, just for the people who is watching those recordings, and we had 4 votes, and 2 of them were for the group check-in, 2 of them for the note taken.
Yeah,
Now we are
50%
equal.
No, don't tell
50%
them
group
you had
check-in,
4 votes.
50% not take. Sorry, Danny?
I said, no, don't tell them you only had 4 votes, but they would see.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes, Ed.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's-
so my vote was on note taking, but I want to qualify that, which is because I don't think you're going to be able to do this in 2 weeks unless you're like amazing, but which you probably are. But so
Don't challenge me.
right, that was a pre-frame, right? So the way I picture the note taking is they have one thread, like let's say it's a vision statement around the ideal communication skills for their partner. And so they write that, and then I give them feedback. And then another thread would be how to handle conflict when it shows up. Right. So we've got communication skills, we've got conflict, we've got how to set healthy boundaries would be another thread. So it might be more complicated than just a 2-week thing, is what I'm saying.
By threads, by threads, you mean documents?
Well, they would say, like the title of this note is called communication skills. And then they write their vision statement. And then I want to be able to comment on that. The second one would be a vision statement on handling conflict. They write the vision statement, I can comment on it. And we just have this banter going back and forth with all of those vision statements.
Yeah, basically you have a few prompts and your clients write their ideas and notes under those prompts, basically privately, and then you have a discussion on those notes with comments and something. Yeah, that's a little bit it's a little bit like bigger scope than I'd like to have.
Right. And let me just say this too. The one big value of creating a plugin like that or a block is the more the client enters in, the more committed they are to staying in the portal. And that's really essential, because that's what my problem has always been. I can't get them going back to the darn portal. Once they're in, they're like, they just don't want to go back. And so I'm trying to create this environment where they want to go in there, have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, and spend some time in there actually doing the work. That would be my bigger goal. That's why I think the visual at the top is so important, because it ties everything together and gets their emotions going.
I like that.
Like, oh, look at my I want to go work on my life wheel. Oh, I want to go work on this vision statement here. Oh, I want to go work on, my lifeline or whatever, So that's my bigger vision of where I think the portal can just excel, is like these ongoing threads we're always talking about in coaching. They're not one-offs. I always go back to show me your vision statement. What do you need to add into your vision statement? Because you've got a blind spot there, right?
Well, yeah, and this is a concept that we always have on our list, which is bringing discussions to everywhere. You can have a discussion on one of your tasks. You can have a discussion on one of your smart documents. You can have a discussion on a habit or a wheel of life or anything on the platform, right? So that's that's a core concept that the core product team is already thinking about, and we are very excited about those ideas. But yeah, like thinking about it right now, we are down to 2, so it's already 48 minutes. So let's limit this discussion to 2 more minutes, okay? So we have group check-in and we have this note taking. So technically, from technical perspective, we can have a note-taking, basic note-taking app in there, block in there. But when we start talking about discussions on the notes, then this makes things more complicated, because now if you comment on something, we have to notify the other party, right? Your client that you commented on something, and they have to click on it, and then they have to land the correct place, and etc. Now we are having many moving parts. And instead of each app sending their own notifications, I want upcoach to be the central system. So the notifications should be sent via upcoach. So this is like you see where this is going. If it was just a simple note-taking thing, you type something and then it gets saved in there, and your coach can read it and something like that. But I think that's not going to satisfy the real use case, real job here. So my thinking goes to group check-in, where we can have a simpler interaction in there, where everyone checks in and attaches a note to it, and then the others can react to it maybe. So you see a block and you can immediately see which clients of yours are checking in. If they are checking in, you can maybe applause them, or yes, Ed.
You have a sense of how many members in upcoach are group oriented? Because I don't have groups, so note-taking would be used right away for probably everybody in the whole platform. Versus group check-in. I don't do groups right now.
All right.
At some point I hope to, but
yeah, not many. It's okay. Yes, that's a very, very correct point, actually.
Yeah, I would be willing to wait 3 weeks or 4 weeks rather than 2 weeks if the note taking took a little longer, but it gave us what we really wanted. Or you could say phase 1 is you get to segment, you get to name it and then do a note. Phase 2 is we're going to add commenting later.
All right, let's do one quick brainstorming session on note taking on upcoach. Okay, let's do it. Is everyone okay with it?
Sure.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, so I will go a little bit fast. Sorry.
Can I show you what I'm using now on my platform, how it looks?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let me do that. This is me logged into my platform as myself, as the client. So it just says my logs, and it's a content block. And then when I save the log entry, it automatically goes to the coach. There's like an email, which again, that could be like phase 2, but it shows up in the log. So in my log archive, there it is right there. So anything else that I would have, there's going to be more, down. So that's what it looks like on the client side. On the coach side, oh, shoot. I don't see it now. I think I went back. Yeah. So on the coach side, it looks like this. It's like client log. And if I view all the entries, there's testing. Okay. And then I can add a log note as the coach. I can share it with the client. I can send an email to them. I can and again, this is phases like Ed was talking about. I can include the note text in the email. We don't want them to respond to the email. So some clients are hard-headed, so I don't click that. And I usually type in response as the coach, but then I'll say, thanks for checking in. And if I save that, but see, I can also upload documents. I could select a document that's in my system. But if I save that note, then there it is.
Yeah.
So it's really just, a content box that is visible to the coach and visible to the client. And it could be that simple to start, like Ed said, and then maybe we can add features to that ability. But that way you're having a direct conversation. As the coach, I can put notes in there and not make them visible to the client. You saw where I had to actually check, make it visible to the client, email the notification to the client, include it in the email. So those are all
Yes.
things that I could do. But
This
it could
is-
be very simple to start.
I want to add one more piece here as part of the thinking, which is I've had several clients when they go into the upcoach and they fill out the current way that I'm doing notes, and they send me a text. They just go, hey, I just wanted you to know I posted something.
Mm.
So they have not fought that. They've been actually very open to just sending me a text message. So, but what I like about NoteJoy approach is everything is self-contained. I can see everything right there in one place in that dialogue that's going back and forth, because it's easier for me if I've got 50 clients I'm working with to go back and say, okay, what was this client talking about? What did we share?
Yep.
And it's easier to tighten up what was the discussion in that particular document.
This is interesting because Danny, what you showed us is basically communication disguised as note taking, basically.
Yeah.
Just the content.
So
organized conversation.
Yeah, that's interesting because I would love to leave it to the core product team to figure out opportunities on the communication part, because I think the communication should be handled as a core feature in the core product, and
Agree.
and the note taking or sharing documents or working on something, let's say working on something, collaboration, can be an add-on to the communication, right? So if you are working on a note, if you're working on a mission statement, you can communicate on that mission statement, but the work happens on the mission statement. That's where the collaboration is happening, on the mission statement, but the communication is just next to it, right? And I believe the communication part should be handled in the core product, which the core team are also working on. But I wonder if we can somehow come up with a very simple idea, like NoteJoy. NoteJoy is very simple, right? You have a basic note with very limited formatting options, because that's not the idea, not the format, the content, that is what matters in that case, right? So having that and comments on some highlights, and then once we have improved chat and communication on the platform, maybe instead of using the comments in the notes, you just embed notes into your communication on the core platform, so the discussion and the communication can continue from there. So let's I wonder if with very basic commenting, very basic commenting on a note, would this be useful? Not a full-blown communication, all right? So your client writes a note, works on something, right? And then you give feedback. That's it.
Right.
And then your client updates the work, the document.
Really, and really that's all that was. It looks I'm sure behind the scenes it's much bigger. But really, that's what it is. And that's that one log. That's why I was saying they do all their journaling in there, but we can communicate back and forth. They can ask questions. Yesterday, one of my clients sent me, and actually on his call, we worked on his OKRs, but he sent me his business brief for me to review. So he just uploaded that document in the client log, and then I responded to it. So everything is actually in one place, and it's pretty simple. It's just the dialogue back and forth.
So let's come up with a very basic flow, okay, both from coach's perspective and then client's perspective. So what I'm thinking is coach selects a client on the program and creates a prompt or a note document, basically. For example, Ed, you go to your program with your client in it, you drag and drop this block, and then it immediately asks you for which client, for this client, and then create this note document and title it as Mission Statement 2023. So your client now, when they log in, sees the note, newly created note, clicks on it, and starts writing on it, right? And as a coach, time to time, you go in there, check that document, and if you have some feedback, provide feedback on highlighted parts, basically. So how am I going?
So that's more like a smart document?
Yes, right. Like we are going into it's very simple. Smart document. The only difference with this and the smart doc would be
feedback feature.
The feedback feature, and also with the notes, you have a full page editable. With smart docs, you have to design a smart document with some editable areas. But yes, very similar.
For me, what you're asking here is an extra step for the coach. I'm wanting the client to take responsibility to initiate the document and to start it. And I want them, in the perfect world, I want them to have upcoach open while we're on the session. And so they can just click and say, okay, now tell me what my homework was. I said, you're going to write a vision statement for X. They know right where to go, like, you know, into note taking, let's say. They just click on a new note, they label it vision taken for conflict, and their job is to start writing it. And in the perfect world, we might put a deadline on it. There might be a date for a deadline. And then reminders that say, hey, you passed your deadline, or your deadline's in 2 days or whatever to get this done. So there's accountability built into it. But that's the perfect world where they have it open and they, you know, they initiate the whole thing and they take response. I'm just like, they're creating the structure is there for them so they don't lose track of it 10 minutes after they're done with the coaching session, right?
See, I'm starting simpler than that. I'm just
and
trying to have a place for dialogue. Coaching between the sessions so that they can have, again, support and accountability. They can upload documents there. They can, you know, I can comment as text on the document, not on the document itself, but just a simple place where people can get support and check-ins between their coaching sessions. Because sometimes it's just, you know, hey, I've got a conflict on this date. Is there any way we can reschedule? I mean,
that you can do right now in upcoach.
Well, I'm just saying it could be that simple, but everything is in one place. It could be more complicated to where they're asking questions with bullets, things like that.
This is also, you know, in the beginning, I'm still excited about this, but you know, like the more you think about not taking, the more you realize that, hey, we have forum, we have smart documents, and with a little bit missing features or small improvements, we can basically satisfy these needs with those features already what we have. So I believe what we should provide as a new block that should basically, that it has to be very clear that something that you can't do with upcoach right now, even though without workaround, you know.
Just based on what you're saying, I was thinking something similar a couple minutes ago when we were talking about, I can't remember, no, I forgot his name, one of the owners.
David, Todd?
David, sorry, yeah. David was saying that you guys are working on a Slack replacement. But maybe when I can have essentially an upcoach version of, you know, Slack, upcoach's Slack, well, then I can just have a one-way dialogue with Ed and I'm good, right? I can do attachments, and then suddenly a lot of this disappears.
True. Exactly. So we are back at square one, but it's already been, but that's okay. This is part of the process. This is part of the brainstorming session. But let's see. It's already been 1 hour. So I think let's put a pause in here also, and please, let's continue this discussion over on the forum. If you have ideas, if you have more things to say, please share those ideas on the forum. I will also be thinking a little bit more about this, but I think this was a really good example about what to focus on with these apps. If we can't be very clear that, hey, you can, you know, like you can do this with upcoaches, this feature and blah, blah, I think it's a good signal for us. But if we can say that, hey, this is not possible at all with anything, any workarounds, then it's a good candidate for a look. Yes, Ed.
How easy would it be to create a mind map block?
It's
like
very easy. Like if
that would be an awesome tool. I have clients right now that I've been they're trying to build a course, and you know, a mind map of the course, just show me the mind map. Yeah, that would be a really cool.
I'm going to show you something amazing.
Along the same lines about Slack and the messaging, if you guys have a whiteboard, that's also a mind map, right? If you're already working on a whiteboard. I mean, it could be anyway.
Yeah, so check this out. This, just search for Excalibur or whiteboard on the forum. All right.
There you go. There you go.
And Excalibur is a brilliant application. It's also free. It has a free version that you can use. Here, Jamal, one of our team members, he explains how to embed an Excalibur board into your program, where you can collaborate on a whiteboard real time with your clients on the program. That's amazing. So just check this out. It's brilliant. Also, he attached a poll in there, so make sure that you also check that out. Okay. Yeah, and also not all blocks we are going to create by ourselves. It's also possible that we can create new integrations with already existing services too. That's also useful. So if you have those kind of ideas, don't hesitate to share with them, with us. Yeah. So I think we are done. Thank you. It was amazing. I loved it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mert.
Yeah, me too. So please share on the forum. Okay, it's really important for us. We read, we listen, we also reply to forum posts. So I will probably share a monologue recording of myself deciding on what to work on the next 2 weeks, because we couldn't come up as a group.
I'll be surprised that if we can have the echo map in 2 weeks, like after that, with the zero vote.
That's possible, but you know, it's 2 weeks. I think we can yeah, it's not that much. So
Are
anyways,
you going with the notes then next, or are you going with the check-in next, or not sure?
so notes definitely no, I would say.
Okay.
It's unclear, it's very vague. Group checking, I will record a brainstorming session on group checking video and share it on the forum, and we'll see where it goes, okay? And also the eco map too. So there are two candidates, we'll see, eco map or group checking.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Awesome. We
Yeah.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.